Welcome to the Planning Commission meeting of January 13th, 2022. My name is Vern Crow, and I'm the chairperson of the commission. The Planning Commission is a citizen body appointed by the City Council. The commission is empowered to make final decisions on certain matters, with those being appealable to City Council. On other matters, the commission acts in an advisory role to the council, with the council making the final decision. You will have an opportunity to address the commission during the public hearing portion of the meeting. Your testimony is appreciated and encouraged. The commission acts from a written agenda. You will need to fill out a yellow speaker card and give it to the city staff if you wish to speak on an item. Copies of the agenda and the speaker cards are located on the table just inside the main door of the council chambers. At this time, please be sure that you silence your cell phones. There are 7 members appointed to the Planning Commission at this time. I will ask the commissioners to introduce themselves and state the district they are representing, starting from my far right.
John Crow, Mayor at Large.
Tom Cole, Barrel District.
Ed Nyberg, representing the Cholla District.
Martin Nowakowski, representing Yucca District.
And I am Vern Crow, representing Cactus. Also, let the record show that Commissioner John Gears is on an excused absence tonight, and there is also a vacant seat for the Saguaro District. The Planning Commission receives staff assistance and guidance from the Planning Division and the City Attorney's Office. Tabitha Perry, would you please introduce the city staff who are presenting this evening?
Good evening, Chairperson Crow and Commissioners. Happy New Year's to all of you guys. To my left is Jim Gruber, the Chief Deputy City Attorney. Across the dais is Lisa Wilson, the Recording Secretary for this evening's meeting. Making the presentation this evening is Edward Vigil, a Senior Planner, and once again, I am Tabitha Perry, the Interim Planning Manager.
Thank you, Tabitha. Okay, now we will move on to the approval of the minutes of December 2nd. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of December 2nd, 21 Planning Commission regular meeting?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Cole?
I did notice a couple of issues with the minutes I'd like to address.
Sure.
A couple of typos which are not significant in any way. The page 4, I'm assuming that on paragraph, I believe it's, well, the first large paragraph on the page, that was a garbage truck, not a garage truck. And then the following paragraph, probably the third sentence says, he said his philosophy is, quote, do no harm, unquote. I believe that should be D-O. But most significantly, the last page, as much as I like to help out, I do not believe I seconded the motion to adjourn, as I was not in attendance of at the meeting. So.
Yeah, good catch.
With that, sir, I would, if it's appropriate, I would move that the minutes be approved as amended.
Support.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Perry, are there any withdrawals or continuances this evening?
Chairperson Crow and Commissioners, there are none.
Thank you. Okay, the purpose of the public hearing is to provide interested parties an opportunity to present testimony for the Commission's consideration. We will follow the same procedures for each item, which are, I will call the application number and the name of the applicant. Staff will present their report and answer questions from the Commission. The applicant will be given the opportunity to make a presentation and answer questions from the Commission. Other persons who wish to testify will be asked to do so and answer questions from the Commission. The applicant will have an opportunity for closing comments. Staff will be asked for any final comments on the application and procedural guidance. I will then close the public hearing and ask for a motion prior to discussion. If there's anyone here that would like to speak on this, you will need to state your name and address for the record. Please be brief, to the point, and avoid repetition. I reserve the right to limit the length of your testimony, which is normally 3 minutes. All exhibits shown to the commission become part of the permanent record and must be submitted for the file. Large groups should designate a spokesperson. Applause or other disruptions which will delay the hearing will not be tolerated. Now, we only have one public hearing item this evening, and that on our agenda is ZON 21-26. And Mr. Vigil will present tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Again, my name is Edward Vigil, Senior Planner, and I am introducing zoning application 21-26 titled Crow 303AZ. So the applicant is requesting to rezone approximately 146 acres from the Maricopa County zoning, from the City of Glendale zoning district RR 45 to PAD, Planned Area Development. And the applicant is Michael Buschbacher with Hunter Engineering. Before you is a vicinity map showing the project site in relation to City Hall. The project site is located at the southeast corner of Glendale Avenue and Alsop Avenue. This is an aerial map showing the existing development surrounding and adjacent to the site and the Luke Air Force Base property down at the southeastern portion. This is a zoning map. There are adjacent and existing PADs that have been approved recently through the City of Glendale. Many of those PADs are similar uses, including the industrial uses that this PAD request is also proposing. There is a pocket of Maricopa County single-family residential lots there in the middle of the yellow project site, and also across the street on the west from Alsop Avenue. The general plan designation is Luke-compatible land use area. And the property is also sitting in the Luke Air Force Base contours of the 80 LDN, the 75 LDN, and there's a small portion at the northwest corner that's in the 70 LDN. So some of the proposed land uses and the development standards that are being requested in this PAD are the M1 zoning district and the C2 zoning district. The proposed changes from these standard zoning district requirements are the building height asking to be revised from 30 feet to 55 feet, the floor area ratio from 30% to 50%, the freestanding sign height from 10 feet to 20 feet for single users and 50 feet for multi-tenants. The office parking is being proposed to be revised from 1 per 300 square feet to 1 to 500, and automotive services from 1 to 250 to 1 to 300 square feet. Before you is a preliminary or conceptual site plan of what the project could be developed as. Some of the important components of this plan are some of the required building setbacks for the M1 zoning district. So in the industrial uses in the M1 zoning district requires a setback of 60 feet adjacent to any single family residential uses. So in this situation of this conceptual site plan, if you look at that pocket of the residential, the applicant would be required to provide a minimum of 60 feet from those property lines in the middle of that conceptual site plan. The applicant on the north section of that residential pocket has actually increased the building setback from 60 feet to 370 feet. And then on the east, he increased the 60 feet to 171 feet. And then on the south portion, that has been increased from 60 feet to 205 feet. Also, if you notice along the southeast property line that runs adjacent to the Luke Air Force Base property, there is an existing United States government easement that is a no-build zone. And so the applicant or developer or property owner would not be able to construct anything in heights, including buildings, structures, parking, or landscaping. But the only thing that would be approved in that easement is gravel, landscaping, or ground cover. In addition, along the south property line where the proposed development is, there's an existing dirt road that provides access to Luke Air Force Base gates that run along that easement on the property line. And so Luke Air Force Base is requesting that they continue to have access to those gates. So on this conceptual site plan, the applicant is proposing 3 driveways along Glendale Avenue. The main access point coming from the 303, which is west of this site, would be off of Glendale Avenue in the middle driveway. The applicant is also proposing 5 driveways running from Glendale Avenue down to the south property line. And then on Reams Road is proposing three driveways. Okay, so the city and the applicant have completed successfully all of the public notification meetings and requirements. Staff has not received any comments regarding this application. And then the findings and the analysis. The first one is that the proposed project will provide economic viability to the community. And then the project also meets the intent of the PAD requirements in the zoning district. The request is also consistent with the Luke Air Force Base design guidelines. The zoning request also makes many considerations to ensure that the public safety and health and welfare have been taken into consideration when designing the site. And then the development of the site has also taken mitigation principles to help alleviate the proximity of buildings to existing single-family residential and building height. Also, all applicable city departments have reviewed the application and have recommended approval, including the traffic study. Stipulations have been added to ensure quality development. And so should the commission choose to move forward with a recommendation for approval, staff suggests the following stipulations. The first one is that the development shall be in substantial conformance with the PAD booklet dated November 11th, 2021. The second one, that the developer shall place overhead power lines on Glendale Avenue underground. The third one, that the developer will need to coordinate with the cubes at Glendale on possible shared access of the private drive that will be constructed in the Reams Road alignment south of Glendale Avenue. Number 4, the access along Glendale Avenue shall be aligned with the Bickman industrial access points. And number 5, the developer will be required to work with the appropriate water company to extend a water distribution main in Alsop Avenue from Glendale Avenue to the south end of the project. The main should be able to supply fire hydrants along Alsop Avenue with the required flow per the fire code. The line should also be sized to provide domestic and fire flow requirements to Crow 303, in addition to the future developments south of Crow 303. Number 6, Access shall continue to be provided to the state and federal government through the easement located along the east property boundaries adjacent to Luke Air Force Base, as recorded as docket 3643, page 267. Number 7, the design of the intersection of Reams Road and Glendale Avenue shall be coordinated with the Bickman Industrial Project to the north and the Cubes at Glendale Project to the east. Number 8, digital billboards or signs with electronic displays shall not be allowed. And number 9, any development standards not mentioned in this PAD shall conform to the City of Glendale's zoning ordinance for the M1 zoning district. And that concludes my presentations. I can take any questions if you have any.
Gentlemen? Commissioner Cole?
Thank you, Mr. Vigil. Appreciate your presentation very much. I just have to ask the question based on the name of this project. You're not aware of any relation to any of our planning commission members based on the title and, of this project, are you?
Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you for that. That's all.
Okay.
Commissioners? Commissioner Nowakowski?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For building EFG, a couple meetings ago, we talked about, Tetris-looking developments, and this is one that's very interesting because you have the Maricopa County property in the middle there. I was just kind of wondering what kind of intensity of that building size of what kind of occupancy would go in there as far as traffic and second part of the question is, you did say Glendale Avenue would be the main entrance, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Just tell me what kind of businesses would be for G, F, and Building E.
Okay. So currently in the PAD document, the applicant is proposing to develop industrial distribution and warehouse uses that could include e-commerce, employment, industrial type uses. However, the PAD would also allow some C2 general commercial uses. So as far as I know, as of today, there are no specific users in mind. Building E is proposed at 190,300 square feet. Building F is proposed at 91,120 square feet, and Building G is proposed at 50,320 square feet.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Vice Chair?
Thank you. I believe you mentioned notifying the public or the public mailing on September 22nd. I don't see a listing of that in my packet. You'd been including interested or the notification list?
Chairperson Crow, Commissioner, are you specifically asking for the mailing list?
Yes, you'd included it in the past.
So, Chairperson Crow, Commissioners, we've kind of like done it both ways, obviously, where we've included it in, and sometimes we have not included it into the citizen participation packet. The rule of thumb, based on the way our applications are written, is that it's supposed to be left as a blank page to where the list is not included. So that's probably the reason if you don't see it in there this evening, because we ask that the applicants take it out. It's a way of just trying to reduce on the cost of printing the different documentations. And then if the commissioners have any specific questions, the project manager should have the case file before them to be able to address as such.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Vice Chair?
I don't even see a blank page indicating that, I do see a blank page, but my recollection was several months back, the commission asked to have that information included in the packet.
Chairperson Crow, Commissioners, now that you mention that, that very well may be so. I think that was prior to me taking this position, that I think that conversation was had. I'll go back and double check, but now that you made that statement, I do recall something of such. So I'll double check, and then we will proceed forward with including that information is in your packet. So I do apologize that it was not in there. It was by error, but we will make sure moving forward that information is in the packets.
Thank you.
Commissioners?
One last one.
Commissioner Nowakowski?
Yeah, typically, maybe I missed it, there's usually a letter or statement about Luke Air Force Base approving or being okay with this. The only thing I think I heard is regarding access to a gate. Can you just expand on that?
So on July 9th, 2021, I do have a letter from Luke Air Force Base, but it was not included as an attachment. And they are recommending that they are okay with the proposed development as long as they stay within the typical design guidelines that Luke Air Force Base does provide in their typical letters. This does include the height of 55 feet and the type of uses, and there is also a note on the second page about that United States government easement being a no-build zone, and I had verbal conversations with one of their reviewers and to talk about what that no-build zone meant, and that's when he provided me with information that anything with any kind of height would not be allowed in that, and I asked, well, the conceptual site plan shows parking areas, would that be allowed? He said no. Parking, cars, vehicles, even the curb would not be allowed. About the only thing that would be allowed would be gravel or maybe ground cover. And then he also went on further to explain that Luke Air Force Base has gates that run along that property line that they need access to make improvements to that portion of the site, and that there was a current dirt road that came off of Alsup on the south portion of the property that they would need to continue to have access to. I hope that answers your questions, Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Vigil, that letter is normally in our packet. And that's the approval from Luke, that they've looked at everything and they don't have any problems with it. That's normally in there, and if it's not, at least there's a statement that says you have it, and does anybody want to see it or whatever. It'd be easier, since a letter is usually one page, two at the most, if you just put it in the packet.
Okay, I can have or request from my management team if that letter can be re-included in future applications. I do know on page 19 in the PAD document that the applicant did provide that easement is a no-build zone.
Thank you, Mr. Vigil.
You're welcome, Mr. Chairman.
Anything else for Mr. Vigil?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Cole?
appreciate your help. If I missed it, does Glendale remain a county road, or is it a city of Glendale road?
So Alsup,
Between the loop and
okay.
the site.
I know Glendale remains City of Glendale between Alsup and Reams,
Okay.
and that will be improved to a 5-lane highway with full improvements such as curb gutter, sidewalk landscaping, striping, signage, lighting, street lighting. And then Alsup Avenue remains in the jurisdiction of Maricopa County. However, that also will be fully improved with a 40-foot half-street right-of-way.
I guess my question is, from the property line, Alsup to the 303, is that a county road? I assume it's
I'd
still-
have to-
I'm assuming that's a county road.
I don't know the answer to that. I can get that information and get it to you. The applicant is here to speak also. He may know the answer.
Okay. What I'm perceiving is a scallop, coming from a 2-lane road to that widened along the property line of 5-lane road, but then it scallops down to a 2-lane road between the the major transportation corridor and the property.
Right, I understand. So I'll get that information to you if the applicant cannot provide it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anything else, gentlemen? Mr. Vigil, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Would the applicant or applicant's representative like to come forward and add anything? If you do, state your name for the record and make your presentation.
So the Chair and Commissioner, my name is Mike Bushbacher. I'm with Hunter Engineering, 10450 North 74th Street, Scottsdale, Arizona, 85258, I believe. Thank you very much for hearing the case today. We appreciate your time and your efforts and the questions and vetting this fully as the body that you serve for the city. We had some discussions with city engineers, and I believe there were some negotiations ongoing with the county to determine a series of different roads within this area along the loop through a corridor to be obtained or negotiated, some intergovernmental agreements. That's in process. I don't know what the current status is. That would possibly be the way to find an answer as to what the final disposition is going to be for Glendale from the 303 over to Alsop. But I believe there are some current activities underway with the city.
Gentlemen, anything for Mr. Bushbacher? Boy, you got off light.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate your time.
Mr. Vigil, anything additional?
No, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I do not have any speaker cards. Are there
Chair.
any? Yes.
We apparently do have some citizen comments that they were unaware of the process.
Yellow speaker card at the back of the room.
I'll get that.
Thank you, Commissioner Crowe. And while we're in a little bit of a lull, I will confirm there is no connection whatsoever between this development and me or my family.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
And I'm assuming the same thing with Mr. John Crowe.
My family were farmers, who knows? I know of no ownership in that area, but I promise I will research that.
Thank you for,
Hang on just a minute.
okay, all right, no problem.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Scott Johnson, go ahead and state your name and address, please, sir.
Yes, my name is Scott Johnson. I'm one of the property owners, also with my father, who's here in the audience. Address 15915 West Glendale Avenue. The mailing address is Litchfield Park. It's not Glendale. Couple of things first. Number one, I did not receive a letter. The only way I knew about this project was I was walking my dog, and there was a sign. I read the sign closely. I actually spoke to Mr. Brubacher. I think that's your name, right? Bushbacher, sorry, I'm sorry, Mr. Bushbacher. Spoke to him, had a very nice conversation with him about the property, and his sign was had a typo, that it was, and I was very concerned. That's why I called him. He was going to annex the west corner of Alsop and Glendale. That's what his sign had said, and he said he was going to get that corrected. So that was concerning of me, number one, obviously, when I read it. So I placed a call to Mr. Vigil, but I have not yet heard back from him, left a voicemail. But I had some questions about, I've done property development in my past, so zoning changes, that type of stuff. I don't have a problem with that. Development is what it is. But some questions that I have, number one, is what would be the road impacts? I'm on the the northeast corner of Glendale and Alsop. So the green section there, and I graze my cows in there, and I have horses and stuff. So if the Glendale section going down to Reams is going to be 5 lanes, and one of the gentlemen up here did state that that would be, I forget the term he used, but it would go 2 lane to 5. That would be concerning to me because I'm right on that intersection. If there would be trucks that would either be turning onto Alsop, either way, I hold a CDL, so does my father. Turning a 53-foot semi-trailer is, you're not going to do very well coming from a 2-lane road. You're not going to do well there. So I'm wondering what the road impacts would be on my corner. That would be a question I had, and I stated that for Mr. Vigil. I'd like to know what that would be. Then irrigation issues. I actually irrigate. You can see from the map, I try to keep my pasture pretty green, and so I do maintain that through Adaman Water Company. I wanted to know what the irrigation impact, if there was going to be an irrigation impact, if road improvements were going to be done, how would that impact my irrigation ditch? And then I just heard in this meeting that there would be street lights along 5 lanes there. How is that going to be shaded, downcast lighting? How is the lighting going to be done so as to not negatively impact me in my windows when I'm sleeping? Because right now I don't have any light pollution. So I just would kind of wonder what that impact would be into my property. And along the Alsop edge, what road improvements would be there. Along Glendale, what the road improvements would be. Because as that artery, like I say, 2-lane going to 5-lane would be quite concerning. So I'm just wondering if there would be an eminent domain possibly, that they would try to take some of my land to expand that for turn lanes possibly. I don't know if that is on the is a possibility. When I spoke with you, Mr. Buschbacher, when I spoke with him, he said that there was a possibility the city of Glendale was going to annex the roads but not the land for the existing homeowners, but he wasn't sure. He just gave me that as a possibility, but that I would need to speak to Mr. Vigil about that. So I did place that call, but I am concerned that I did not receive any notice of this, but Mr. Buschbacher did send me an email, which I was very appreciative of I guess the letter that did go out, but I did not receive it. So, so I don't know if that just got lost in the mail or what have you. But those are the questions I had, and I'm hoping that before the project is actually approved, that those answers could be at least ascertained, because I am quite close to this area, and I just want to know the road issues. Again, if you want to make note of it, the road issues,
Got it.
Irrigation and streetlights.
I got it.
All right, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Vigil.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I don't know if you got this, but the road impact, irrigation issues in regards to the impact on the ditch and street lights and the Alsop, what happens to the improvements?
So, I mean, this, again, is the rezoning application was routed to the land development engineer to review, and the applicant did provide the grading and drainage development proposal in the PAD. And in the nearby future, an actual design review application will need to be submitted for the site, and that will also be looked at again through the design review application. So I'm not sure if that answers your question.
It's not my question. It's
Or the
questions
applicant's
presented by
question.
Mr. Johnson.
Right. So my answer would be that our land development engineer did review the proposal and the rezoning application and the conceptual site plan, and has approved that. She will look at that again with the design review application when the grading and drainage details and all of the if there is a canal or sewer or any of those issues that are on the property, then she'll recommend any improvements for that at that time.
Chairperson Crowe, Commissioners, the improvements for the site, it will be developed to a point to where all the runoff will be specific to their site. This development will not impact the speaker's property as it relates to their irrigation.
Thank you. What about the street lights? Anybody have a comment on the street lights?
The street lights,
His concern is that, you've seen some of them with the light guards on it so that it can't spread out. It pretty much just goes straight down.
so the street lights would have to comply with the city of Glendale's dark sky ordinance along Glendale Avenue and Reams Road. However, Alsip Avenue is controlled by Maricopa County, so it would be whatever those requirements would be.
Right, we've been down that road. Okay, irrigation streets, also improvements, road impact. Did you address that?
No, I did not. What exactly was the question regarding the road impact?
Can I just speak?
Sure.
Okay, the road impact, the existing road that's from 303 to Glendale and also along Glendale, that road is not designed to take semi-truck traffic. It simply is not. And with the shoulder design the way that it is, I've driven semi-trucks, so has my father. I can attest to that running 80,000 pound semis down that road, 6 months that road's gonna be in pretty bad shape. That road is gonna have to be improved in some form or fashion. And also width of the road is another concern, because if anybody coming down 303, if I'm coming from Los Angeles to deliver product to that facility, which I would assume would happen, unless there's a signage that says no truck traffic exiting on to Glendale going eastbound, which could be done. My question comes up is this: already there's been impact where Glendale comes into to Cedarville, because Walmart and Amazon do have distribution centers there. Unfortunately, they've taken out the light. There several times that has actually been taken out. That's currently there. And as a matter of fact, CenturyLink, their pedestal that supplies internet connectivity, was hit by a truck on that corner, and that corner is the same design as my corner. So one street to the west, Cedarville in Glendale, CenturyLink's been out there for about a month repairing their pedestal that was hit by a semi, trying to make the turn, and some electric equipment was also impacted there as well. Also,
Okay, hang on just a minute, sir.
sorry.
Mr. Vigil, is this something you might want to get with him offline?
Yes, absolutely. I can find the answers to what the improvements.
Yeah, I'll take care of
between
his
303.
concerns there.
Right.
When can I expect a call? I've left you voicemails.
And I did call you back twice. There was no answer, so I was hoping you would call back or email me. No, it wouldn't leave it. The voicemail
Chairperson
didn't pick
Crow,
up.
commissioners, per your direction, staff, Mr. Vigil will reach back out to the concerned citizen to try to give him more clarification on his questions. But just for the record, as the commission is aware, there's a lot of development that's occurring in that New Frontier area along the 303.
Yes.
So the city of Glendale has been working with adjoining jurisdictions as well as with the county to address some of these road implications of improvements that needs to take place to safeguard the residents and the volume of traffic that will be generated from these developments. The improvements to all these roads will not occur overnight. Some of them will occur with the development of a specific site, and then others will be part of the capital improvement with the city of Glendale and or with the county or any adjoining jurisdictions. So we are aware of the improvements that needs to take place, and all the appropriate government agencies are looking into that.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Vigil, anything else?
No, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, that's it for me.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the public hearing for case number ZON 21-26 is now closed. Do I hear a motion?
Chair, I just have a quick comment or a question for Tabitha?
Well, we've already called for a motion. Wait till we get a
Oh, okay,
motion.
I thought we usually asked for questions after.
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry, Chair. For Mr. Johnson, as I understand, this is a zoning hearing. We're just granting preliminary zoning change. There will be another opportunity to speak when we get to the design phase, And then that's when you'll see a more robust explanation of what's happening after traffic studies are done, after design studies are done, light studies, and all of those things. So do I have that correct?
Chairperson Crow, Commissioner Crow. So after this, Planning Commission gives a recommendation to the rezoning application, then it goes to City Council for the final approval on the rezoning application. Then like so, when the property owners has an end user that is ready to develop the site, they would come in for a design review, which is an administrative process. There's no public hearings on that process. However, if Mr. Johnson was to stay in contact with the planning division, then we can provide them or him continuous updates on all the different improvements that will be required for the site.
Thank you, Teba.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Nowakowski?
I move to recommend approval of ZON 21-26, subject to the stipulations contained in the staff report.
Support.
Okay, now, are there any comments or discussions regarding case number ZON 21-26?
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chair?
I have a question about a point that was raised earlier with respect to an error on the sign that was posted on the property. Could somebody elaborate on that or help me with that?
Mr. Buschbacher?
Are you familiar with that issue, Mr. Buschbacher?
Yes, I received a phone call from Mr. Johnson noting that there was an error on the sign that I was not aware of, that the sign company had made a mistake. As soon as I found out about that, I said I'd go out there and physically change it instead of southwest to southeast corner. And that was done by myself personally with a patch and tape so that it would be corrected before the hearings.
Okay, so do you recall about when that happened? I mean, weeks ago, months ago?
No, just we talked about 4 or 5 days ago.
Yeah, it was not too long ago.
And I did it about 2 days ago. So it was over the weekend, and I had to get out there and find time to get out to the site.
Yeah, thank you. The reason for my question is I believe that sign posted on that property is part of the legal notification requirement. And if there are errors on that sign, I'm concerned about the appropriate legal notification. Thank you. And again, we've had individuals address this commission who say they did not get a notice. And we've asked for that notification list on a number of occasions, and not that long ago, 3-4 months ago it came up, and it's not included in our packet. So I don't have confidence that that is taking place appropriately.
Do you mind if I speak?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I personally signed and mailed all of those letters, and I have an affidavit from our office verifying that those were sent and put in the mail. First-class stamps, dropped them off at the post office near my house. The list was generated as per the City of Glendale process, and I have a copy of that that was submitted to the planner along with the affidavit of posting. The sign, I apologize, it was out of my control. I didn't realize the sign company had made a mistake.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, if I may, Mr. Gruber, do you have an opinion on the legal requirement for the posting and the sign? Does that present an issue for us?
Chair, members of the commission, I wish I could cite to a case that's looked at this. But I'm not aware of any, and certainly not at this time. I could look to see if one's ever considered the issue. But in light of that, my gut reaction is that the fact that the sign, I'm assuming, was posted on the property in question is, to me, as dispositive as even what the sign says. I think that a reasonable person is accustomed to signs being posted on the property for the property that is the subject property that's going to be, addressed in the land use action. So, so my gut reaction is that that is not a concern. Obviously, it's not a practice that we want to, put into play very often, but the city and the applicant moved to correct the sign issue. And of course, this is all against the backdrop that this commission is making a recommendation, and it's been corrected in time for fair amount of notice prior to the council action taking place. So my gut reaction is I'm not concerned about it.
Thank you. That satisfies my question.
Thank you, Mr. Buschbacher. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Okay, any further discussion? I have a motion and a second to approve case number ZON 21-26, subject to the stipulations as outlined by staff. I will conduct a roll call vote. Commissioner Crowe?
Aye.
Commissioner Cole?
Explain my answer, sir.
Certainly.
This is zoning action, and it's in the contour. It's not land that can be used for any residential development. We've been through this conversation before on previous actions. I remain concerned. I appreciate Ms. Perry's comments about the roadways. I remain concerned about access to industrial sites through residential neighborhoods that aren't in the city of Glendale. So I'm encouraged by your statement that there are conversations happening between various jurisdictions, including the county, to improve roadways to make this reasonable for the neighbors. That being said, I vote aye.
Vice Chair Nyberg?
Aye.
Commissioner Nowakowski?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Case number ZON 21-26 has been recommended for approval subject to the stipulations as outlined by staff. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps in the process?
Chair, members of the commission, your action with respect to this rezoning matter is not final. Your recommendation will be forwarded to the City Council.
Thank you, sir. Okay, the next item is adoption of the 2022 Planning Commission Workshop and Voting Meeting Schedule. Ms. Perry?
Yes, Chairperson Crowe, Commissioners. We've had a workshop and had conversations in regards to what this year's calendar would look like for Planning Commission workshops and public hearing. Just as a reminder, it was determined that the primary meeting would be held on the fourth Thursday of each month, and then if needed, a second meeting will be held on the second Thursday of each month. Each commissioner did receive a copy of that schedule, and we're just looking for the commission to vote on that to finalize it.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions, comments? Commissioner Nowakowski.
I just want some consideration for the Thanksgiving holiday week and the Christmas holiday week. I think it would make sense to, if we are going to have a November, December meeting, not to have it during those high vacation, and it'd be a hardship on residents during that time. So the November 10th, December 8th should be prioritized over November 24th, December 22nd. So that's usually when I'm with my kids and traveling, yeah.
Plus, that is, as he said, literally in the height of the holiday, it's going to be really tough to get participation.
Chairperson Crowe, Commissioners, 100% we do agree with you. We would do what we've done in the past. We would take in consideration of those major holidays and then reach out to the commission to ask if the commission would be okay if we vacate that fourth Thursday, and in lieu, if necessary, to have the meeting on that second Thursday. So we will be sensitive to that and communicate with you as the months progress.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Vice Chair?
Mr. Chairman, yeah, thank you. I would also like to, kind of carrying on with the same theme as Commissioner Nowakowski, I would like to add the footnote to the calendar that we meet in July only if necessary. Typically, the commission has vacated July meetings, and I know last July or last June, we had to have significant conversation around that topic. So I'd just kind of like to establish now that we're planning on vacating July unless something urgent requires action.
Yeah, I would support that as well. It was kind of a bump in the road last year, so we should plan ahead for that and see if we can do something about that.
Chairperson Crowe, Commissioner, your comments are noted. The only thing that I would ask is if we take that in consideration, we may find ourselves in a situation in the month of June where we may be asking the commission to have 2 meetings, depending on the number of applications that we may have. But I do recall the concerns that the commissions had the previous July, and it is noted, and staff will do everything we can to not have meetings in the month of July. Okay. And we will have the open communication with you leading up until July, so you'll be aware.
Okay.
Commissioner?
I just want to note, I will not be showing up on November 24th, Thanksgiving Day. Just
be aware.
Be aware.
Nor will I. Okay, commissioners, anything else?
Chairperson Crowe, Commissioners, could you, do they need to vote on that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have to have a vote on this.
Yes, just for the record, a consensus or a vote?
Actually, I think it calls for a vote. So, commissioners, I will entertain a motion to have our regular planning meetings on the 4th Thursday at 6 p.m. And I will entertain that motion if anybody's willing to do that.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Vice Chair.
I would move adoption of the meeting schedule for 2022 with the notations that we've discussed for July, November, and December.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to accept the calendar that's been published with the exceptions noted during the meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Chair votes aye, and the motion passes. Ms. Perry, is there any other business?
No, Chairperson Crowe, nothing for other businesses.
Under commission comments and suggestions, I would just like to welcome Lisa Wilson, who I've had the pleasure of talking to several times, delightful lady. And thank you so much for what you've done for me tonight. I really appreciate that. Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Chairperson Crowe?
No planning staff report?
Thank you. I just want to make mention to the commission, based on some of the comments that was made this evening, it is not the intent of the planning division to lose the confidence of the commission. The commission has brought some items to our attention, and we have been diligently working to make those levels of improvements. And sometimes in the amount of work that staff has, sometimes they may have forgotten some of the things that we agreed to do moving forward. But I will speak with the staff members to kind of make sure that they remember the different things that you're looking for within your packets, in which we agreed upon. And once again, we're diligently working to improve in what we're presenting before you and what you're receiving in your packet. We just ask that you continue to bear with us and work with us. And once you receive your packet, if you realize there's something that you need or something that is missing, please do not hesitate to reach out to me directly and or to Lisa Wilson, so we can get that information to you prior to the public hearing. Because once again, our goal is to ensure that you have all the necessary information so that you're feeling comfortable with the recommendations that you are providing before a hearing case. Thank you.
Gentlemen, anything else? Commissioner Cole?
I appreciate the comments, Ms. Perry, regarding the efforts to be consistent across the board with the materials that were provided. This instance this evening isn't the first instance where a neighbor has come forth and purported that they did not receive contact. Even upon the mailing labels being in our packet, some of the folks whose addresses are on those mailing labels have said they didn't receive a letter. So I don't know if this is, beyond the pale, but I would like to know, beyond what is required by law, is it an undue hardship on applicants to have return receipt mail so we can know for sure whether or not a letter was delivered to an address on the list, and that letter be either acknowledged by the post service that it was delivered, or it would be returned to the city via the applicant. I just think that would be a best practice so we could ensure confidence for these neighboring folks on these development projects that we're doing everything we can to contact them so they can have input. So I asked that question if that could be explored. I know it's probably not required by law or by any kind of ordinance, but I certainly think it would be a best practice based on what we've experienced in my short time on the commission. So I appreciate your looking into that.
Chairperson Crowe, Commissioners, we will look into that and report back to you.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Gentlemen, the next regular meeting of the Planning Commission will be held on February 24th at 6 p.m. If there's no further business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned.